So we got good news on Reckless Ben. The feds are involved. Feds, the government is no longer a civil case how they want it to be. The bad guys, they wanted to keep it a civil case. They want to keep the case local so they can use their own corrupt judge to handle the case. Now, their corrupt judge can't touch the case anymore. This is a federal case.
The Lego scandal is going federal. We're going to talk about it today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and I've been covering this bricks and minifigs scandal, the Lego scandal, really from the beginning. And we have a new massive turn here today as the case appears to be heading from state court to federal court. So first of all, some background here. On June 26, Ben, that is Reckless Ben, and Victor Wynn filed a notice of removal in the U.S. District Court for Utah. That is the federal court. So essentially, that is the one that covers all of Utah. There's one district in Utah. So it's not like Florida where there's several districts, like a North and a South district. There's just one for Utah. So they filed it in that district and said, hey, we want to remove this to federal court. Now, BAM Bricks and Minifigs has 30 days to fight this motion.
They're not going to win this fight. It would take a miracle to win this fight. It has too much motion to even break this fight off.
And while this is going on, there are also ongoing mediations. So the mediation is ongoing, that discussion is ongoing, and that has been ongoing since the state court RICO case was filed by Bricks and Minifigs Corporate against Reckless Ben. So they're allowed to keep talking. They're allowed to keep going through the motions of trying to settle this outside of court. And that's very...
Yep. They want to settle it outside of court, have Ben and his friends sign some NDA or a non-disclosure. Okay, hey, don't talk about it. Okay, all right, we'll give you the 200K, the Legos. We'll give it back. Okay, all right, we'll give you a little bit of extra, for all the troubles that we caused you. Sorry, hey, we'll give you an apology too. We'll apologize. All right, just don't talk about it. Let's not escalate this. It's just too much trouble. You don't want to get the feds involved, right? Come on. It's just extra work. There's nothing, you don't get anything out of getting the feds involved. Come on. Let's all be friends, Don't you want to make new friends, Reckless Ben? Come on.
Very important. But what's also important is this message. Recently, a jury, if you QR code removal, so this just came down. Obviously, you see the in this post here, the lawyers for Ben Schneider, his company, and Victor Wynn have filed a notice of removal in the district court, saying here, generally this freezes all proceedings until the federal judge decides whether they will take jurisdiction or remand the case. So this is accurate. So essentially, they're going to need to decide what to do now with this removal. So now that they're saying, hey, we want to remove this to federal court, the judge now has to say, okay, is this permissible? Is this not permissible? Are we going to allow that? So what are some of the facts that lead us to this being something they can do? Well, if you look over here, Victor Wynn is a resident of California. Brian Mansell, who agreed to this and consented to this, which is very, very important here, is a resident of Oregon. So there's diversity of citizenship between the plaintiffs and defendants. Diversity means they're not from the same place. They're not all from Utah. This is not a case where everybody is in Utah. They're all Utahians. Sorry, people from Utah. I probably said that wrong. But you see, that's the primary reason, and that's a very good reason to remove this to federal court. Ooh. And there are several advantages that do come along with that. We'll read some other reasoning here. Plaintiff Baker Bricks, LLC, alleges in the complaint that it is a Utah corporation. A corporation shall be deemed to be a citizen of every state and foreign state by which it has been incorporated, and the state or foreign state which has principal place of business. Baker Bricks, LLC's principal place is Utah, and its certification of organization is filed in Utah. Plaintiffs allege that the verified complaint that Baker is a Utah limited liability company. Taking this as true, which we will assume that's true. I don't think they're going to fight
limited liability company, so you cannot go after those people personally. In terms monetarily speaking, right? They still committed those felonies.
That they're a Utah company. The actual plaintiff entity in this lawsuit is Baker, the Utah LLC, not the now dissolved Oregon entity whose trade name Baker is using. Salem Baker Bricks itself was administratively dissolved on January 15th before this lawsuit was filed. In addition, the members of Baker Bricks LLC appear to be Brandon Best and Josh Johnson, who are citizens of Utah, and as shown in the application for reinstatement they filed. So they're saying, hey, look, these guys, this corporation is really a Utah corporation, but we're going to try to get diversity here. And this is a massive advantage for Ben for multiple reasons. First of all, there's stronger First Amendment and anti-SLAPP protection. So First Amendment, free speech, that's going to be very strong at the federal level. And all those anti-SLAPP motions, that's a SLAPP motion is a strategic lawsuit against public participation. So anti-SLAPP is essentially protecting free speech, saying, hey.
I'm amazed how state laws can actually deny Constitution. Like, they could make a bunch of rules to prevent people from owning guns, right? Even though it's in the Constitution. Like, I think in San Francisco, they say that you're not allowed to have like pointy bullets or something like that, and then you cannot have automatic guns. So they make you, oh yeah, and you cannot have stock on your guns too. So you gotta get like this really weird shape M4 that looks like a shotgun, or not like a shotgun. It looks like a toy gun. Like, their guns look fucking wonky, where it looks like a bunch of toy guns made for children that's supposed to make you feel like you're the FBI.
You can't try to silence Ben with a lawsuit. This can't be a strategic lawsuit to silence Ben. So Utah's anti-SLAPP laws will apply in federal court, and there'll also be very strong First Amendment protections there. There also will be a better shot at dismissing or weakening RICO cases. Now, federal judges are very familiar with RICO. They are well versed in their RICO claims. So going into federal court with judges that know RICO might give them a better shot of dismissing it, particularly as they argue, Ben argues, this is really a cobbled together.
Apparently, RICOs are meant for the mafia. Ben is part of the mafia, or he is the boss. They try to sell it off as Ben being a part of a mafia. Like, oh, look, this guy is bullying. Oh, this one person is bullying us. We're just a small $800 million company, and this guy with his, I don't know, $100,000 net worth is bullying us. Oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo.
Their case based on bad facts, based on things that aren't true. So weakening and dismissing the RICO claims might be something that would be more advantageous.
I feel like with lawyers, if they entered a bad charge or a false charge on someone, they should get debarred. They should absolutely get debarred, so they cannot work with these evil companies. Or they will have a good reason to not work with these evil companies.
Pages at the federal level. Also, it's perceived as a neutral forum. So federal courts are often perceived as more fair because of their procedures, because of the judges. It's not going to be somebody who's perceived as a local judge who might be beneficial to the local Utah business against the foreign Californians and other people from other states. It's going to be a perceived area where the procedure, the judges are used to people from other jurisdictions or used to people from other states, and therefore it's somewhere that is perceived as more fair. And generally, I would say federal courts are very, very fair when dealing with diversity cases. Also, they would get a chance at a fresh review of the TRO. Now, we're going to go into the temporary restraining order and what happened with that on a separate video. So make sure you like this video, you're subscribed, because that's going to be a whole separate video where we talk about the TRO. But they're going to get another bite of the apple if they go to federal court. They're going to get a chance to look at that and tell the federal judge, hey, we think this is, this is crowding our First Amendment right. This is taking away our First Amendment rights. And a federal judge might be willing to say, you know what, even though this was a win for Ben, because I do think Ben is still winning when it comes to TRO, I think he would be able to win harder in federal court. Also, in terms of strategic leverage and settlement and procedure, all of that is going to be more fair. And also the leverage, the visibility, the power that Ben has, that's going to be increased by moving it to federal court versus state court. So Ben is going to be in a better situation in that mediation.
Dude, I want to see him one man army this shit. Destroy that corrupt company, corrupt Mormons, corrupt police, corrupt justice department in their city. Fuck them all.
In the negotiations with Bricks and Minifigs in order to come to a reasonable settlement with them. So let's go to my judgment. So in judgment, I think it's an excellent tactical move by Ben's team. I think this was very wise for them to do to try to move this to federal court. So big up on Ben's lawyers. I think they're doing an excellent job so far. And this is something that will change the game if they're able to get it into federal court, and it'll be perceived as more fair procedurally and will also protect Ben's speech. I think his First Amendment rights will be best protected in federal court. I'm not saying that his First Amendment goes away in state court. That's not at all the case, but I do think that federal judges are very careful about the First Amendment. So they might be even more on Ben's side when it comes down to the rulings. And that,
dude, and I hope they punish the judge that approved this gag order. I hope they obliterate him. I hope they delete his existence for pushing this gag order against Ben, because that's a direct violation of the Constitution. Perverting the justice system to break the law is yeah, I think that's a felon. Yeah, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's a felon.
What I think a lot of people are looking at is, hey, how are we going to protect his freedom of speech and his ability to make videos and make content? Now, this is not a win for Ben. Ben doesn't automatically win because it goes to federal court. However, it does massively increase his leverage. And I think Bricks and Minifigs is now pushed even deeper into a position to settle. So Bricks and Minifigs keeps taking L's. They keep pushed back and back and back on their position. And I think Bricks and Minifigs didn't want to settle with Ben. I think that they wanted to kind of fight this out, but the more that he's fighting back with these procedural moves like moving to federal court, the better position he's in, and I think they can come to a better settlement when they eventually get there, which is what I think this will come down to in the end. But I want to know what you guys think in the comments below.
Do not settle. Do not settle. I know what they're gonna want when they settle, right? So here's the situation. Right now, it's just about the Legos. But after they're done with the Legos, they're gonna be dealing with the felonies, right? Like the unjust arrest on Ben, all those police that have made those illegal arrests on them, those illegally redacted videos on those chest cams. And the CEO of BAM, right, Eamon, however you pronounce his name, Asman, he committed felonies by lying to the cops and submitting false police reports on Ben. Like, they said that he was making death threats to the workers there. He was harassing people, like doing a bunch of like bullshit that never happened. That's a felon. They will squeeze for a settlement and hope that Ben will take it. Like, okay, hey, Ben, hey, can you not press charges on the felons that I committed when I told the cops that you were making death threats against our workers? Yeah, we'll give you a good deal. $200. $200. That's a lot of money. Come on, Ben. Yeah, we could be friends. We could make this relationship work. Ben, you should absolutely destroy them. If he needed lawyer fees, I have no doubt that people will fund his GoFundMe. I will fund his GoFundMe. I don't have a lot of money, But I will still fund his GoFundMe just because I want to see these people get deleted. Hammer down on the Lego situation, then afterwards hammer down on the felonies that they committed. The CEO, the two John Johnson and Brandon Best should all three go to prison. Oh, not just them. The police, the justice administration in that city, the judge should all at least spend 5 years in prison. And if possible, we should garnish their wage for all the money that they stole from using the police, the justice apparatus to make money. All the wages that they made during their corruption should be redacted. I mean, should be taken back, garnished, everything. They don't deserve the money they made for the crimes they've committed while they were being a police or a judge or working in the administration in the justice department for that city. They should all have their money taken away. We should shut it down completely, including and the church, the Mormon church in that city, and the college should be subpoenaed. Subpoenaed and check for corruption. Period. We gotta stomp out this flame before it turns into a wildfire. Don't let them off the hook. Do not.